BBC Radio Solent. Hello, I'm Katie Martin. Today is the 1st of October. And did you know that October is Selective Mutism Awareness Month? Here to tell us a little bit more about it are Lucy Nathanson, who's a child therapist specialising in supporting children with selective mutism and the founder of Confident Children. And alongside Lucy is 𝗪𝗲𝗏, who is the dad of a child with selective mutism. Hello to you both.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Well, it's great to have you here, Lucy. Here we are on the first day of this important month for those who work in your field. Tell us, if you can, what selective mutism is.
Selective mutism is an anxiety-based condition where children can talk absolutely freely when they're comfortable. So typically they can talk freely at home with parents and siblings, but they're unable to talk in other situations, maybe at school, maybe to extended family members, grandparents, aunties, uncles, and maybe in public.
We might have once upon a time just written that off as shyness, maybe?
Yes, yeah, and it's still really happening today, hence why we want to really raise awareness of selective mutism.
Zach, tell us a little bit about your experience.
Well, my daughter had a very severe case of selective mutism. We first heard about it when she went to preschool. The key worker told us that she'd never said a word since starting, which was very unexpected. So we had to do a lot of research and find out what this could be. They didn't know what selective mutism was, and nor did we, so we had to find out a lot for ourselves.
Well, can you remember how you felt when you realised that this bubbly child that you had at home was not the same outside of the home?
Well, we knew she had some kind of anxiety because when we take her to groups before preschool, she seemed to display anxiety. But we didn't know that would manifest as completely not talking at all. She had other symptoms. So she wouldn't go to the toilet, for instance. She also couldn't eat her lunch. And she also couldn't do any work, so she couldn't participate in the activities they were doing at preschool. And this, unfortunately, continued into school. So it was quite worrying to see how her future was going to be and what was going to happen later as she got older.
Do you know, as a mum of two children, I think before I had children, I might have gone, oh, okay, right, okay, and not really understood that. But I'm listening to your description now, and my heart is actually breaking a bit, thinking about how stressful that must have been for you and for your partner.
It was very stressful because you don't know, well, firstly, you don't know what to do. You feel very powerless. There is help online and from speech and language therapy. NHS offers speech and language therapy. But you don't get a lot of meetings with them. They often give you advice, but you're often left to solve it yourself and learn about the condition yourself. And not being an expert, you have to really learn on the job, as it were.
And Lucy, is it important that children are seen as individuals rather than just this is what you've got, so to speak, and this is how we'll sort it?
Yes, absolutely. We really should individualise the techniques and strategies to the child. But at the same time, there's lots of things that we can do to help all children with selective mutism to feel as comfortable as possible, to help to set them up for success, to make steps forward.
Let's talk about that in just a few moments' time. October is Selective Mutism Awareness Month. As Lucy has just been explaining, it's not just about not talking, it can also be about not participating. And then as Zach was saying, your child wouldn't go to the toilet at preschool. I mean, I hear that, and as a mum, I'm thinking, I would be tearing myself apart, worrying about that. You've clearly been able to find yourself some support, though, and a way forward, and we'll talk more about that in just a moment's time. BBC Radio Solent with me, Katie Martin. We're talking about selective mutism. Maybe you are familiar with that. Maybe it's part and parcel of your family life, or maybe you've never heard of it before. October is Selective Mutism Awareness Month, and I'm joined in the studio by Lucy Nathanson, who's a child therapist specialising in supporting children with selective mutism and the founder of Confident Children. And she's sitting alongside Dad 𝗪𝗪𝗏, whose daughter had selective mutism. You first noticed it in the toddler days. How old is your daughter now, and how are things?
Well, she's 9 years old now, and I'm pleased to say that it's been overcome. She can now speak in front of teachers. She can go to the toilet, all these other things. We can relax, and she's also very confident. She can perform in drama performances. She delivers lines. She can sing solos. It's great to see.
I think often, you know, when we have children who've had any kind of bump in the road, however great or small, when we see them flourish in that way, that just brings such a sense of pride. But you and your family must just be over the moon at that.
We're delighted, and yeah, every time we notice one of these things, you know, we have to remind ourselves what it used to be like.
Lucy, let's talk to you then, because you must feel equally a huge sense of pride to see that children like Zach's daughter can come out of the other side of this and go on to fulfill their potential in all of these wonderful ways. Tell us a little bit, if you can, about maybe some of the misconceptions around selective mutism and some of the things to look out for, perhaps.
So, as Zach said, his child is definitely not shy. Now that she has overcome selective mutism, she's even doing solos. So one of the key misconceptions that we see is people assume that children with selective mutism are shy or just shy. And this can lead to people maybe waiting for the child to just outgrow it, which is a real mistake. We don't want to wait for a child to just overcome selective mutism by themselves. They really do need support as early as possible. Other misconceptions we see are that the child is controlling, and that's definitely not true. Children don't have any control over this. It's an anxiety-based condition where their throat muscles are tensing up and they're just physically unable to speak.
It's an actual physical response to anxiety.
Yes, the fight, flight, freeze response, and they physically can't speak in that moment. So to say that they're being rude for not talking or stubborn or controlling is just not true.
When you meet people who come to you with all of these concerns, quite a lot of these concerns might seem quite small on their own, or might not maybe make sense attached to one of the other concerns. If you're listening to this right now thinking, I recognise quite a lot of what Lucy's talking about, what can you do?
So we're, really passionate about raising awareness of selective mutism, and now there is a lot of resources available. So I would say if you're a parent listening to this, recognising that your child may have selective mutism, or you may know somebody who may have, then research selective mutism. There are lots of videos on YouTube. 𝗬𝗲𝗏𝗏, the Selective Mutism Association in the UK, have a lot of resources as well. So do as much research as possible. But the key really is we want to help to bring down that child's anxiety by creating a pressure-free environment to help them feel as comfortable as possible without expecting them to talk. And then we can start to put in place a small steps plan so that we can work at the child's pace and help them to make steps forward step by step.
And are you able to implement this if your child's already at school age, that, they're legally required to be at school? Are you able to implement this in all walks of their life?
Yes, absolutely. We work with children who are at school all the time. We work with even teenagers who still have selective mutism, and 100% children can make steps forward no matter what their age. However, we need to start to put that support in place as soon as possible and crucially move at their pace.
Thank you so much for coming in and giving us an insight into this. You've got the awareness months running all month. Where can people find out more? Are there any particular websites, or where can we find out more about your work, Lucy?
So my website is confidentchildren.co.uk. We're on Instagram, confident.children. We're on Facebook, Confident Children Selective Mutism Therapy. And I mentioned 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 as well. They also have a lot of resources all about selective mutism.
Lucy, thank you so much. Zach, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your experiences with us. BBC Radio Solent.